there's a dichotomy. You know, uh, desire for the predictable, you know, having a same place to sleep in, you know, that consistency of having a home base as opposed to the being on the road. And then there's the uh, desire to have new and challenging experiences. And yeah, that's kind of the dichotomy that exists, that, you know, when you're on the road, you know, it's easy to become frustrated because you don't have that home base where you feel like you're just kind of floating in the wind. And then people that get the steady gigs are like itching to get out, itching to do something different. Um, and I think it's our ability to mentally and emotionally and spiritually deal with those situations, that there is no such thing as the perfect situation. So, you know, what are some of the mechanisms that you have in place, and the kind of thought processes that you've gone through to make the best of the moment, to make the best of the situation that you're in at the time?
That's a good question. I'm not very successful at it sometimes, I'll tell you that. You know, Pima children,
Mm-hmm.
comfortable in the chaos, you know, comfortable with uncertainty. I think that is the key to a happy life. And Krishnamurti said, you know, one time he asked the crowd, he goes, you know what a secret is? And the big hush over thousands of people, right? And he goes, I don't mind what happens. So I'm not good at that. I'm, you know, astrologically, Slava has it all explained why I'm not good at that and everything, but I continue to try. And through meditative practices and even something as simple as being in the outdoors seems to pacify me in ways that are beneficial, let's say. So that's my coping mechanism now. I wish I was further along that path, but wanting to be where you're not is that's a fool's errand.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, Eckhart Tolle says that stress is being here and wanting to be there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, and I think that's a huge part of it is, yeah, we're all struggling. You know, we're all trying to make sense out of this life. But the one thing that impresses me is that a lot of people allow themselves to get, you know, they get stuck in situations that they're unhappy with, but they stay stuck in those positions. And you know, you have been in positions where you have not been happy, and you made the decision to make changes. And like, you know, if we go back to the Maynard, or you know, the Chase gig, you know, there are a lot of people that would have, you know, given their left eye to be in that band, you know, or any part of their body. You know, there are people that
Yeah.
Maynard gig, you know, back in the day. I mean, if you were a trumpet player, if you were a jazz trumpet player or lead trumpet player, you know, that was the gig you wanted to have, you know, and, you know, or to be in LA. So you were in these coveted positions, and for whatever reason, you decided, you know, as much as I like this, I want to go somewhere else. And you were able to make those shifts. And a lot of people aren't able to do that, or aren't able to do that without some level of regret or remorse. So, yeah, to me, that's really that is a sign of a more enlightened approach, whether you want to think about it as like a high enlightenment, or just, you know, like you say, you know, kind of getting past the bullshit and just, hey, this is life, and I've got to live it the way that I want to live it. So, you know, what motivates you then in your life, in your pursuit? I mean, what are your goals, or your visions or your aspirations of Lynn Nicholson?
Well, goals at this point are a lot different than they were back then. Maynard kind of scolded me. He said, it's okay to have goals. He goes, but enjoy the journey, because at the end of the day, all there really is the journey. Once you get to a goal, I'm sure you've noticed this, you reach a goal and then you go, okay, I'm here, now what? So it's just it's a constant thing of moving on to the next thing. So that is the motivation, I guess. I mean, why would anybody stay in a situation that doesn't make them happy? And or doesn't create value? There's a lot of people, I'm sorry to say, especially in today's world, where there's not much value being created. It's just a bunch of, advertising, and man, I mean, there are so many middlemen out there who don't create anything. They just help the people who do create something market their goods or whatever. And of course, I'm a horrible salesman, but that's what it amounts to, really. And if I could snap my fingers and be some way at all, it would be, I don't mind what happens. That. So whatever comes up, fine. And when I look back on things, everything, I see that the universe, or God, or however you want to look at it, always has a better plan for me than I could figure out. All the way back to when I was in high school. I was an engineer. You asked earlier why I was so scientific and everything. I was going to be an engineer. I was going to go to the Air Force Academy, IIT, or MIT. And then the universe dumped this protocol on me. I was trying to keep from ripping skin off the mouthpiece. Instead, it gave me an upper register. So that was not nothing was as it seemed. So at that point, I decided I'm going to be a trumpet player for a living. And my band director, oh, you're never going to make it, and blah, 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 blah. And in those days, it was like, what do you mean I'm not going to make it? Of course I'm going to make it. I never thought twice about failure. As I get older, it's easier, failure is, you don't have quite as much, I don't know what it is, tenacity or something. Concept's still the same, but it's not as forceful and vibrant. It's not retaliatory. It's not like, what do you mean? It's not like that. It's like, okay, yeah, you might be right. So anyway, that happened. Then I end up getting on Chase's band, and I got fired off of Chase's band. And at the time, I was 21, so I was like, okay, he told me they, meaning the other trumpet players, wanted to get a friend on the band. And okay, I get it, that's fine. And no sooner did I get off of Chase's band, I got called for Maynard's band. And had I stayed on Maynard's band, on Chase's band, I'd probably been in the plane that went down. So that happened, I think, in August of '74 or something. I remember I got, sadly, a friend of mine, John Emma, I got him on the band as guitar player. He died in the crash, but he came around he and D'Artagnan Brown came around to the one of our concerts, and he goes, oh man, he goes, you're so lucky. He said, we have nothing, nothing left on the band. He says, you're way better off here. So I didn't plan that. I didn't plan to get fired. You see what I mean? Yeah. And it didn't bother me too much when it happened. So but I didn't consciously think to myself, wow, if there's a better plan out there than I could come up with. But every time, if I rely on my intuition and just kind of go with the flow, doesn't mean you lie down and play dead. Not at all. It's not that. But go with the flow. Okay, there's clues all the time that come along. And I don't think we pay enough attention to the clues, but sometimes we do. And then good things happen and you move on.